Добра, нема да пее. Колко е сиљак. Убаво шпува.
Не знам дали е паметно да кажеме дека не е видно или да го изоставиме?
Ќе го изоставиме целосно. Не е коректно да кажеме дека не е видно. Ќе го изоставиме, што е уште пофино, пошто говорот и онака катастрофа му беше.
The second word.
So, word number 2 helps word number 1 to improve many people's life.
Social media, social security,
social entrepreneurship.
Not quite, but very, very close. It's when every one of us comes up with something new that has a positive effect on people or the planet.
Social innovation.
Social innovation.
Social innovation, of course.
It always makes you feel better.
Macedonian food?
My salary arriving in my account.
Rakia.
Every year, people who believe in it travel for it.
Alexander the Great.
Rakia?
People are talking about it all around the world, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
A fidget spinner?
Candy Crush?
Rakia.
Oh dear. Okay. It's not a person, it's nothing to eat, it's not an item, and it's not rakia.
Let's try it differently. It's two words. Words number 1 can be used with different meanings.
These are called homonyms, no?
Trump?
Tail?
In the Central Eastern Europe region, people might connect it to communism, but actually what it stands for is to think for the greater good.
It's not Rakia.
Social?
Yes, that's correct.
Now the second word.
So, word number 2 helps word number 1 to improve many people's life.
Social media, social security,
Social entrepreneurship.
Not quite, but very, very close. It's when every one of us comes up with something new that has a positive effect on people or the planet.
Social innovation.
Social innovation.
Social innovation, of course.
I am. Cool. Jedan, dva, jedan. Okay. Okay, I think that now is the time to start. Okay. Respected guests, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Austria in Macedonia, good morning and very warm welcome to the opening of the second Social Innovators Conference. My name is Mona Šah and I will be your MC during the conference. Last year, we were inspired and motivated by the idea that social innovation can bring positive inspiration and transformation to a community. That was the main reason why we launched first ever Social Innovators Conference here in Skopje. Today we are more motivated and truly happy that we witness another one-day journey to the world of social innovations, powered by Social Impact Lab and Association Pablik. Please give an applause for this. Today we have 9 extraordinary speakers from different countries across Europe, 1 panel discussion with important stakeholders of the region, including State Secretary of Republic of Slovenia, Mr. Tadej Slapnik, and President of GSEN, Ms. Kristina Tora. We fully appreciate you finding the time to be with us despite your tight schedule. On behalf of Global Social Entrepreneurship Network, in which we are happy to be part of, I warmly welcome all the guests who are today here with us. By the end of the conference, we'll have a very special moment as we will announce the Social Impact Award 2017 winners in Macedonia. This is something that we are very truly proud of. Our precious thanks to all the participants who traveled far and near to hear and share experience and of course to engage with each other. Feel free to take pictures and videos, share them on social media, and please use the official hashtag of the conference, hashtag #SEET2017 and hashtag #SocInova. If you want to see your tweet on our Twitter wall, please use only hashtag SIAWinners2017. And of course, don't forget to use our photo booth. For all of you who can't be here with us, it is important to say that we are going live through official Facebook profile of UC Platform for Social Innovations in Youth Employment and the official Facebook of Social Impact Lab. Thank you guys for this and hi from Skopje. Last but certainly not least, have a lot of fun because good vibes are definitely here, and I promise you that we will have an amazing day ahead of us. Respected guests, Your Excellency, on behalf of the organizers of this Social Innovators Conference, I would like to introduce to you Ms. Klementina Ilievski, Executive Director of Pablik Association, to say a few words.
Dear representatives from the institutions from Macedonia and abroad, from the business sector, from NGO sector and media, dear social innovators and social entrepreneurs, welcome to the second Social Innovators Conference, which this year gets wider international dimension on our great pleasure. I want to first express my gratitude for the presence of more than 30 representatives of the Global Social Entrepreneurship Network in our audience today that will meet for the first time in Macedonia. Welcome to Macedonia, and I wish you successful and inspirational work tomorrow. My appreciation also to all the speakers and panelists on this conference that kindly accepted our invitation. I'm sure that your speeches will succeed to inspire and add value to Macedonian efforts in creating adequate ecosystem for social entrepreneurship development. The thing that feels encouraging to me on this road is the obvious existence of the political will to foster the development of social entrepreneurship. But to succeed in this process, we need clear vision, bold leadership, and steps based on data and researches. Also, we need evaluation of the effects gained through active measures that are aimed at social enterprises, coordinated activities, creation of network, adequate financial instruments, implementation of the idea for social entrepreneurship and social innovation in educational system, raising awareness. Today, during the panel discussion, we will open all of these questions and we will compare our experiences with European practices. I hope that we will identify the most significant points that will ease up the process for creating stimulative environment for development of the social entrepreneurship in Macedonia. I believe that Social Innovators Conference will be a meaningful experience for all of us, and I also believe that this conference is one of the factors that fosters social entrepreneurship. We see it works together with several other initiatives, such as Social Impact Award, whose winners for 2017 we will find out today, Investment Ready Program, Companies Doing Good Forum, which will take place on 3rd of November, the event from EPTISA, who will take place on 7th of November, the influence on the content of Street Magazine Face to Face, the new edition of which we will promote here today. I hope that you will enjoy the event, get inspired, and act. Because the change begins with us. Better society is in direct correlation with informed, aware, and engaged citizens. As for the social innovations, they are the gift that has the power to bring humanity back on a track. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ilievski. Now I would like to introduce to you Mr. Christian Mileski from Social Impact Lab to say a few words.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. After a whole year, it is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all in Skopje. Skopje, the capital of social innovations and social entrepreneurship these days. The reason why we are proclaiming Skopje as the Social Innovator Center is because today we will have the opportunity to hear the inspirational stories coming from the people around Europe. We will also have the unique opportunity to participate in a panel debating for the establishment on the ecosystem, and we also have an insight of the Macedonian social businesses placed in front of this hall. We will award the young creative teams that participate in the Social Impact Award 2017, and of course, our capital those days is hosting the international group of Global Social Entrepreneurship Network, which make this ecosystem grow. I know that you will enjoy in the whole program because our team was trying really hard to make this story one enjoyable adventure for all of you. I would really like to use this opportunity to say big thanks to my teammates who made this conference happen. And of course, use the breaks for networking, sharing experience, and contacts. Also, you can use the social media, use the official hashtags, get inspired, and in the near future, take the first step for making this world a better place for living. Enjoy.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Mileski. And our last speaker for this part is our dear guest, State Secretary of Republic of Slovenia, Mr. Tadej Slapnik. Yeah, the people will give you. Може микрофон? Да. Hvala.
First, thank you to the organizers that invite us to be here with you in Skopje for the second edition of your conference. I think the activities that you are moving on in Macedonia and also wider in the region of Southeastern Europe are really important. Also, we in Slovenia are aware of that. Years ago, when we started to develop social entrepreneurship, it was almost 10 years ago, Of course, we are making our own steps towards the development of the sector, towards getting the best practices, the best way to start the social economy activities. But now, with the years on, we have quite strong sector already. We started to collaborate in our region. With that aim, we organized in May this year the first regional conference on social economy in the region of Southeastern Europe. And of course, we are really delighted that we are able to participate on your conference, to see your wonderful social entrepreneurs, the moving that is going on, to share the idea, and of course to make a regional network on social economy. It's an activity already going on together with the European Commission. And today in the panel in the afternoon, I can say that I will try to share our knowledge. I will also try to understand what are the activities that you are doing. And I'm also very happy that I will be able to speak with representatives of your government, to connect with them, to share the idea, and to make, like it was said, the world that we are living much better place with help of social innovators and social innovations. Thank you a lot.
With us here today. Now, we have 9 amazing speakers who will share their experience with social entrepreneurship. Please welcome our first guest speaker, Mr. Ernest Radal, co-founder of MobileLearn from Sweden. His company is providing faster integration in society for immigrants while saves times and money for the government. I would like to say win-win combination. His top 3 precious things are his phone, his original Austrian lederhosen, which he admits that he wears it often, and cigar lighter that his dad gave him. His personal hero is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Well, he's Swedish. Earlier, Mr. Radal said that his speech would be a surprise, therefore we cannot wait to hear his story. Please give an applause.
Let's see if we can get the presentation going. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Should we? Should we wait or should we? I will tell. Okay. Go back. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way. Before I start, I just want to, on a personal note, say that I'm very, very happy and very pleased to be invited to this Social Innovators Conference. I never thought in a million years I would be on an innovators conference in Macedonia. What you're doing is very, very important. So once again, a big round of applause to the organization. Now you can change. So, Oscar Wilde was an Irish writer. He was born 1854. This is one of his biggest breakthroughs. He wrote comedies, novels. The importance of being earnest was Oscar Wilde's big success. This was his breakthrough, and believe me, I know exactly how important this is. My name is Ernest, and I represent a company called Mobilearn. You can take the next slide. One of the reasons why I love Oscar Wilde is because of this quote: "Be yourself, everybody else is taken." This is very, very important. Okay, next step. 12 years ago, me and my colleague, we started to discuss about how to access vital information in society. The idea of Mobilearn was born that Klaus, he used to live in the States, and he had a really, really tough time finding information about just simple things like insurance, residence permit, etc., etc. Now, as you all know, the access to information, or so to speak, the non-access to information, can be very, very dangerous. If you don't get access to the information that you need, you will start to maybe invent your own truths. You start asking friends or countrymen. In Sweden today, it takes approximately 7 to 9 years for a migrant or refugee to get some kind of occupation. So that's really, really shocking, 7 to 9 years. And our European governments, they have for a very, very long time tried to solve this problem, solve this issue. How do authorities work? How do I get healthcare? How do I find accommodation? How do I pay bills, etc., etc. I'm happy to say we are solving this today. Next slide, please. This is Mobilearn, a company that I co-founded. The idea started in 2010, so we've been doing it for quite some time. Mobilearn is a one-stop shop for immigrants. What we are doing is we are gathering information from Swedish governments, and we are packaging it. We have made a package of it in a nice and easy to use mobile web application. Next step. These are some of the Swedish governments that are represented in this application, and just to give you some example, the Swedish Labour Office, health insurance, tax, etc., etc. So these governments have information on their public websites that we collect it, and then we make sure it's nice and easy to use in a digital tool. Next, please. Of course, we are also translating everything. We are doing it ourselves because the Swedish government doesn't translate it. And everything is presented both in Swedish and in the different immigrant languages that are represented as Arabic, Somali, Persian, etc., etc. Next. Apart from government information that is translated into different categories, we also have additional features in Mobilearn. For example, we have a secure messaging system. So our governments and our municipalities can send secure messages to our refugees and migrants. We also have a language education program where you can learn how to speak Swedish. You can have information read to you if you don't know how to read or write Swedish well. We have a marketing space where our Swedish governments, I'm proud to say, are marketing themselves. They are paying for banners. They are using our application as a communication towards refugees. And we also have an awareness part where we have news articles and other additional information. Next slide, please. We also have a digital profile, a digital identity. Here the refugee or the migrant can create their own digital identity and get job offers directly from the Swedish Labour Office. Next. Our business model is quite easy. The Swedish government simply buys from us and then they give it to Mohammed. This was a little simplified version of the business model, but the Swedish municipalities, the Swedish local authorities, governments, they buy licenses from us and then they distribute them to the immigrants that come to Sweden. So for the immigrant, it's completely free. Next slide. I'm happy to say some of our results during the years have been shorter integration time. So far, we've also calculated a total saving for the for the country of Sweden of 12 million euros. Plus 50% of our users are women, which is fantastic, taking under consideration some of the aspects, cultural aspects from some of these countries where the refugees come from. 170 plus Swedish municipalities are our clients. They have purchased or bought Mobilearn. We also have digital classrooms, educational programs, job programs and matching inside the Mobilearn application. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh yes, you can just click. And here are a couple of examples, a couple of proud examples as we are helping literally tens of thousands of immigrants on a day-to-day basis with our educational programs, with our support systems for usage of the application. This is what it looks like in a typical classroom or education program. Okay, next slide. So, this is a picture of our Swedish Ministry of Labor. Her name is Ylva Johansson. And this was actually a couple of years ago when the Swedish government announced the collaboration with us. This was a briefing that she made on national TV, and we were really, really proud. We were sitting with the champagne and watching the TV. I'm showing this slide because some of you here might think, well, how do I collaborate with governments? I mean, this simply seems impossible. And it's impossible. But luckily for all you entrepreneurs here today, I have a solution. Now, next slide, please. I have developed my own 12-step plan. Now, by raise of hands, how many are social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs here today? Okay, and by raise of hands, how many are government here today? All right, so we have a couple of them. I invented this plan. It works, but you have to follow it exactly. And this is exactly how we funded Mobilearn as a company. And this plan was actually a part of a workshop a couple of years ago with the participants of the Commission's Social Innovations Challenge. And I know for a fact it's been tested in other countries than Sweden as well, like Great Britain and Germany. So I'm challenging you today to try it also in Macedonia. Okay, step one. Oh yeah, sorry. Just a warning before we start with the plan. Our governments, our local municipalities, they are slow. They're also unflexible. Everything has to be procured. So don't forget that this is just a little thing that you cannot miss. The public sector is not as passionate as we are. I mean, this may sound a little strange, but they are not, simply. The sales cycle is much, much longer, and it's all politics. Some decisions just simply don't make any sense. Lack of responsibility, they hate tech. They love the analog world. This is just simply for governments. And they all leave at the office at 15. They're impossible to reach, so just be warned. And finally, they will all tell you it's impossible. Now, let's go on with the plan. Next step. Step one, realize that you need governments. I meet so many social entrepreneurs who say, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I don't need a government because we are going to do this on ourselves and so on and so on. And this may be true, but at some point or another, if you really want to scale, just realize that you need government, guys. This is lesson number one. Okay, step two. Create an advisory board. This is very, very smart. This is very clever. What you all entrepreneurs should do today is you should create an advisory board with people from the government and local authorities. This is the step 2 you should do. Okay? Step 3. Involve your partners in a very early stage. I remember many years ago, I created my own newsletters. I did it myself. And I emailed the governments and officials for many, many years, and I didn't get any response back. And then a couple of years ago, when we did a procurement with the Swedish Migration Office, one of the ladies said, yeah, I've been following your newsletter for 5 years. So make sure that you somehow involve your partners in an early stage and be prepared to maybe not get the best feedback, not in the beginning at least. Okay, next step. Create a roadmap. I don't know if you guys see this, but make sure to create a roadmap. And this may sound silly, but if you don't know where you're going, then it's going to be completely impossible. Next step. Go bottom up, not only top down. In the beginning, when we tried to implement MobiLearn, we said, we have to go to the government. But this was, of course, impossible. So we flipped the coin and we said, okay, let's go from the bottom up instead. And bottom up for us was really, literally, stepping out on the street, seeing someone who is an immigrant, and talking to them. So just remember, go bottom up. Next step. Have a sustainable business model. Guys, I must tell you, you have to have a self-sustainable business model. Because if you don't survive in 2 or 3 years, and if you're not going to be around in 5 years, nobody's going to be want to invest or implement your social innovation. I don't care how good it is. So make sure you have a self-sustainable business model. Next slide. Offer support. Now, the governments, it's not that they don't want to use innovators or social entrepreneurs. It's sometimes they are a little bit afraid. They don't know how they're going to do it. So make sure you have some kind of support structure surrounding all your implementations when you are implementing your social innovations. Next step. Explain what the results of working with you are going to be. This is very, very important. Be super clear. If we do this, then the result will be that. If we do that, the result is going to be this. And of course, make sure it happens that way as well. Next step. Step number 9. Find a way to measure your social impact. I'm sure you've heard this before, but this is very, very important. I don't know the answer to this because all social impact measurements are a little bit different depending on initiative, but make sure you realize how you can measure your social impact. Next step. Find a way then to convert the social impact to economical impact. Because guess what? When you talk to people on the bottom, they will say, yay, it's great that you have social impact. But when you're talking to people on the top, they will also say, how much money are we saving on this? So make sure you have some kind of figures backing up the impact. Next step. Sell your minimum viable product. I remember this is what happened to us. In the beginning we said, we will create the whole application and then we will go out and sell it. But of course, if we would to create the whole application directly, it would have taken us forever. We're still not done. So we just simply developed 30% or 40% of our product, and then we started to sell our minimum viable product. So don't feel stressed, guys. Just sell what you have. Next step. And the final step, don't be afraid to sell, because guess what? Our local authorities and governments, they are still only human. So treat the public sector as you treat the private. Pick up the phone and start dialing. This was my 12-step plan. I think the last slide is a big, big thank you. And don't forget, it's important to be earnest. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Radal.
Thank you.
So our next guest speaker comes from our neighbor country, Serbia. Her name is Maријана Savиќ, and she is a co-founder of Bagel company, which was established back in 2014. She has unconditional love for people, especially for women who have survived or are at risk of trafficking, exploitation, and violence, for which her team and herself are trying to provide employment and education. Her biggest wish is to live in the just and equal world for people and cats, her favorite animals. Please give an applause for Ms. Savиќ.
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm Marijana, but everybody knows me as Maya. So after the conference you can call me Maya if you want. I won't be so efficient with this PowerPoint strategy to say next slide, because I didn't plan to talk by the slides. But let's talk about bagels. So everyone knows what are the bagels. It is like a baked product. It comes from the Jewish community from Poland. They immigrated to the States, to the Britain, and then they are eating bagels like we are eating bureks here. It is shaped as a ring. It is similar to gevrek. We all know from this region what is gevrek. But it is not gevrek. It is like a puffy thing, a little bit, but crunchy. And when it is hot, it is delicious. And it goes, you can make sandwiches with that. And you can put different spreads. My favorite is bagel with salmon, smoked salmon, and cheese, spread cheese with chives. It's delicious, really. But you can move the slides 1, 2, 3, and then we will go step back. So why am I talking about bagels? It is not about bagels, of course. We are here on Social Innovation Forum. And why am I talking about bagels? It is because behind the bagels is NGO Athena, and I exactly come from Athena. It is an NGO that deals with supporting young women who were survivors of trafficking and gender-based violence. In majority, they are women and girls, but we are also supporting men and boys. And we are women and feminist organization. And we are doing that for 15 years. We have safe accommodation for them, but we have long-term support programs for them with psychosocial support, with legal support, with medical support. We're cooperating with the government, we're cooperating with the schools. We are pretty much sustainable because we are not the organization that runs projects. We are running a program that has to be committed to its beneficiaries if we have money or not having money. So one of the gaps and one of the links that was missing for all these years is economic empowerment. It is economic independence. And when we are talking about women, we have to have this component. We have to think, you can provide, if she can recover, but if she goes back to that community that was violated to her, she will again be victimized by someone. So this was the component that we missed. So we were thinking for years how we can do that. So we were cooperating with the National Employment Services. We had different projects, but no project, it was always ad hoc action. It was always something that was not sustainable. So we were also thinking about, we cooperate with the government. All our referrals come from the police, for prosecutors, for social services, from NGOs. But they don't ask us if we have money for these programs. So we are not funded by the state and the state authorities. That was another thing. The third thing is that we supported those girls to find a job. They didn't have a previous experience. They didn't know, we are not talking about skills like I'm a baker or I know I have previous experience working in some industry. I'm talking about soft skills. For example, when you want to articulate your resources that you have, if they ask you, do you know to work on the cashier? If you didn't have possibility of someone to learn you how to work on the cashier, and it is really 2-3 hours of like instructions and everybody can learn, then you cannot find the proper job. So, next slide. So, as I told you, this is NGO Tina. We are working in majority with women and girls who are very young. You can see 15 to 30 years old. They had experience of violence previous than they were referred to us for years, and our recovery and integration programs last for years. So, next slide, please. So, because of all this, what I was telling about, we planned to open a social enterprise, our business, and we wanted not to be not to rely to international donors as well as governments. So in April 2015, NGO Tina founded and opened the first shop in Belgrade that sells bagels. So this was the idea that we developed 2 years before. We started to develop 2 years before, and together with the team we sit and said, what shall we do, what to produce, what social enterprise, then we thought about printing something, printing like some fair wear shirts or printing some materials. But it was not something that we are connected with. All of us in the team, in Athena, also our beneficiaries likes to eat, likes delicious food. We are always preparing something in the office. And we were starting to think, okay, food is always something that is needed, this service. And we started to think what, because everything exists. We didn't want to sell something cheap. We didn't want to open another bakery. There is like thousands of bakery. So we started to think what missing in Belgrade. And really, Belgrade, like a town of 2 million people, didn't have a bagel shop. So we said, okay, that is something that really we can try to open. We didn't know to make bagels, of course, but what we did know, that we have passion for food. So we started to download recipes from the internet. We downloaded, I think, 800 recipes. We tried Canadian, Montreal bagels. We tried New York bagels, Brooklyn bagels. We had a very specific task. Everyone who was traveling outside of Belgrade, in any country, had to go to the bagel shop to try bagels, to bring bagels. And we were eating bagels all the time. For 8 months, we were preparing bagels, like all the recipes, combining all the ingredients, going to mills, buying a flour to try it, because for bagels you have to have a strong flour, you know, with a lot of protein inside, because you have to mix it to this dough and everything. And it was very good, because all of us are burned out because we are working those things. So making bagels is some kind of therapy for us. So after 8 months, and after gaining like 10 kilos, you can see I'm wearing black because, you know, it's, and I started to run half marathon because of that. You know, so this is like, after all these 8 months, you know, and trying all these different spreads of bagels, we then opened the bagel shop. So what I wanted to say, it was like something that is completely different that we were doing in Athena, but it was linked to our mission and to our vision and to our goals. We opened a limited liable company that was founded and owned by NGO Athena. It is something that, so you can see these faces that, this is our friend, colleague from the government, ex-government colleague, yeah. He's trying these bagels on this opening day. We opened, well, we'll just go with the slide. So, as I said, it is registered as a limited liable company because we wanted to have a good grounds. We didn't want to good grounds for like spreading the company, to have a possibility for example, exporting, to import some goods. So we were thinking for the future. It was our goals and the social goals of this company is not just economic employment of our beneficiaries and also providing the practice for our beneficiaries, but also all the profits goes to our psychosocial support programs and support to our safe accommodation. We now have 4 of them because we are working pretty much with the refugees in Serbia, and we still have, even the Balkan roads, it is closed. We still have around 5,000 stuck people here in Serbia who are waiting more than a year, more than 2 years, and we started integration programs with them. So we have a lot of programs going on in Athena, and they are costly, so we are thinking in 5 years the 30% of our revenue and 30% of the costs of our psychosocial support programs in Athena will come from our business. So in 2 years, now it is 2.5 years, we are pretty much sustainable. After 1 year, we made the turnover that we came into this regime to pay tax added value system. So we, in second year, we collected a lot of money to invest in our shop, in our production. And now we have to go step forward and to spread to wholesale and to more catering services. The results of that is that just last year, 22 of our beneficiaries passed the practice here, had the practice of month in a bagel shop. Before that, they had a training that we deliver for years in Athena, but we didn't have opportunity to offer them always a practice at some firm in private sector or in public sector. So they had opportunity to learn to bake, to prepare food, to work with the clients, to work in distribution, to work in providing products for production of bagels, and to work with the customers. So that was like some success that we didn't expect that it will happen in the second year of practically our business. What was, please, if you can go to the next slide. So, yes. The thing that we made initial, what were the challenges? So we had opportunity to open this social enterprise because GIZ and KBF and Mosaic Foundation made this fund for NGOs who were cooperating in this region for years on issue of reintegration of victims of trafficking, to think about their sustainability. So we had opportunity to apply. So we applied, we made this business plan, applied, and got 20,000 euros to open this shop. That was great thing. But this business plan that we made, initial business plan, we had to totally transform. It was not something that was when we started. First, we had the idea to open a shop in another area in Belgrade. We didn't have money to pay the rent in that area. So we find the shop, we find this place in totally remote area. It is not in the center, but for example, it was next to the school. Children were not targeted by business plan. It was targeted to the people that were young, from, 20, 22 years old to 45, and we targeted this group of people. But children, we didn't have anything for children. So we had to create products that are interesting for children in elementary school. Also, we started to think about catering products, and then we started to make these mini bagels and this bagel canapes catering, and we started to spread the offer, and of course we animated our community. The good thing with our bagel shop is that Athena previously had built community with the private sector, with the government, with international donors, but they were not our primary clients, and they are not now, and I'm happy for that. Because relying on that community is also a problem. You have to outreach new customers. So our main goal when we open the shop is to be liked by the neighbors. in neighborhood, to have a neighborhood community. So when after 3 months, when neighbors with their dogs come to our shop and to, I don't know, to eat our bagels, to return back, that was the first, like, that was the first time that I said, okay, we did it. I think that we are on the good way. So we made this catering offer, and it was like something that now we have more than 70% of revenue from the catering. A lot of private firms take a catering for us. They are returning back. The thing is that we invested a lot in quality. So these are the, for example, if we are putting salmon, it is the best salmon that you can find in Serbia. If we are putting prosciutto and we are doing a little like pulled pork things or something like that, this is really like we are buying from the best. And it is not cheap, but it is not expensive. And the marketing strategy was also, we didn't know how to market this. First, we opened a bagel shop, no one knew what is bagel. So we had to market and brand the bagel product. And that was a good strategy because after a year, marketing bagels, people are talking about bagels, and after 2 years, after a year and a half, we had 3 bagel shops in Belgrade, like a competition. And competition is great. So this is like something what some of the strategies were. And also social enterprise in this region. For example, we never market our social enterprise that is like a social. We market it like a good product. We sell bagels, they are delicious. Because sometimes we notice that when we say it is a social enterprise that supports women who survive violence, they said, okay, we will try, it is interesting, but they think it is cheap and it is not a good quality. So this is like just an added value. It is not something that will sell your product. So this was also something that we had to decide in the first 6 months. The other thing is when you work in such group at risk, you cannot advertise that you are employing someone who had this kind of experience, because you can stigmatize that person. And as a professionals, when they know how to work, they are like, when they learn and they have skills to bake or to cook or to prepare food, they are professionals. They are not anymore some ex-beneficiaries of some programs. So those are the things that we were thinking before we opened the shop. So you can go on. We had the mentorship. This is the best chef in Belgrade. He is the chef of Homa restaurant. Maybe if you come to the Belgrade, you can. Oh, we have also the Camila visited us a year ago when she and Prince Charles came to Belgrade and came to the region to visit us. So it was like, she came to Athena, but I said, please visit the Bagel, because Athena, you cannot shoot there, but you can market and you can this product. So she visited Bagel. And she bought all the bagels. So this is our story. This is our story, and it is like for all you who are like founding, who plan to found a social enterprise. It is something that it has to come from the heart, and it is something that has to be passionate. But it is also something that takes time to grow, and you have to invest a lot of time and a lot of efforts, and your team will work not 8 hours but 16 hours. And that's that. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Ms. Savich. I'm just reminding you that you can tweet, and your tweets will be there on our Twitter wall, but please use hashtag SIAWinners2017. Next in line of the amazing speakers that we have today is Mr. Armin Maglиќ. He is from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and he is a co-founder of a company called Igraj, Uči, Rasti. Play, learn, grow. Their main focus are children, and they sell toys that stimulate the development of their cognitive and intellectual abilities. He is a fan of lonely walks. I'm certain that that's the time when the great idea comes up. He loves his family and most of all his computer. Please give it up for Mr. Maglиќ, an extraordinary young man and his story.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm Armin, I'm 27 years old, I'm a youth worker and a social entrepreneur. So my early years as a youth worker, I learned a lot, you know, and but I didn't change the world or set it on fire, you know. I started volunteering in this internet club project back in 2006. I joined our music and arts festival. We renovated some things. I joined the protest for the first time. And then in 2011 I became a CEO of this NGO and started doing some new projects. So we introduced some new volunteering programs, job training programs, entrepreneurship programs, some exchange activities. But through all of these activities, I managed to get in contact with these diverse group of people. And, you know, sometimes there's young people, some young people come to you and share some of their stories that maybe they usually wouldn't share with their parents, for example. And so it allows you to cultivate this thing called empathy, and it allows you to see all those social issues in your community. So I was able to take this experience and build upon it, but often enough we are impatient when it comes to this change or this impact, because it doesn't happen immediately, as we often imagine in our minds. So I will steal this Ernest quote, because it really resonates with me. You know, later on you get approached by these young people who share some stories on how all these events, activities, you know, some certificates help them in their career. And you know, I spent 11 years on this, and maybe 10% of this time I got some sort of salary. You know, so I earned so little money, but you know, my heart is, you know, this big. So how my venture journey started? I got introduced to this tool called Profile Pass, where you can evaluate your previous life events. So you get these like dots of what you are doing, and you can connect them with the current activities that you are doing. And it's like maybe if you didn't do some of those things, you might be able to do some activities right now. Like Steve Jobs once said that if he didn't go to this calligraphy class, we might not have been able to get these fancy fonts on our computers later on. And maybe if I didn't run if I didn't run those projects or the NGO, I don't know, I might be having a hard time running a business. Or I had this hobby doing these 3D characters for a video game. It was a hobby, I never earned a penny from it, but now I can see how I can use those things and improve our business. So, one other point is this NGO. It's called In Place of War. I met them in the beginning of 2015, and they show me these case studies of young people all around the world that are in some sort of wars, gang wars, different kind of social issues. And it was amazing to me because, you know, they are innovating, they are improving their lives and the lives of their community, and they are going through all these difficult situations and these hard things, and sometimes they get pissed off at the situation in their communities. So I was kind of, I can be also creative. So I think everyone of us can approach a world like some sort of designer. It just takes a little bit to unlock this potential of a dynamic problem solver. Just a little bit of creative, this confidence, this notion that you have big ideas and that you have the ability to act on them. So later that year, 2015, I was contacted by the Barka Foundation to join their new program, and I had to get a team together. It was something about entrepreneurship and social and stuff like that. So I called my cousin Amar, the guy on the right. He just graduated from the Arts Academy, and we needed something to do. And they introduced us to these things called business model canvas, design thinking. What was it else? It was lean startup and so on and on. So it was fascinating because I got some new toys to play with. And but they challenged us with this one thing, and we had to go into our community and find a social problem to solve. So we went out there and saw these kids sitting there for hours and hours, and swiping right, left, up and down, without a spoken word. So we used those new tools and went out there and spoke with their parents, teachers, kindergartens, pediatricians, and so on and on. And we found out that they are lacking they're not speaking. They are looking at those flashy screens, and they are passive. They are sitting there for a long time. And at this point, they are sending so little impulses in their brains where there is needed the most in their early childhood. Also, we found out that around every second child in Bosnia develops some kind of a disorder until age 7. We don't notice that immediately, but it can be like a speech disorder, gross or fine motoric skills, and so on and on. But also there was this one thing that was like a parent and child bond, these real life relationships. Yesterday I was reading one article. There is one teacher in elementary school asked the students to write like a few things about what would they do with their parents when they get home after school, and everyone wrote that they would like to their parents to help them with the school, to go and explore the nature together, and so on and on. So we went out there and go back. Use these letters, numbers, colors, shapes, and combine those elements and put them on these 90 cards. We went out there in the people's homes, in preschools, elementary schools, and we spent around 500 euros in cash, I think, and like 3 months of developing and prototyping of the product. So right now we are 11 months old as a business, and still crawling around, trying to stand up. So our game is being used in the preschools, in kindergartens, in elementary schools, but most importantly, it's been used at home. And also it's being sold in like 25 locations in Bosnia, usually small toy stores and bookstores. What else? Yeah, some issues maybe. We ran in a lot of issues, starting from the registration delays to finding the right supplier. Also, we have this dispersion of our educational system, and also this retail chains. For example, even though they need a domestic toy, they don't have many. Maybe 1% of the toys are domestic, but they still require from us this large amount of money just to enter. But there is also this one skill that was needed, especially for me, and it was called sales. I was used to writing a proposal, getting the money, resources, and everything, and just forwarding them to the other people. So I was always giving something for free, even in my personal life. So it was like tough transition from this NGO thing to a business. To point one thing, we are not technology haters, so we love technology and we have some ideas to take this technology that they are using and make it so that they have this conversation with those devices, to move around, to be more active and to speak. So we will see what we are going to make in the future when it comes to that. For the end, I think maybe 2 shouts. The one will be for our governments. So little money is invested in these entrepreneurship programs like Mosaics. We have like 67% of youth unemployment in our country, and in the recent years, a lot of people have left the country, including almost all my closest friends. So it is sad on one side, but also I see a lot of hope and a lot of opportunities in years to come. So my message to young people that are listening to this is to go out there and discover things, try new things early as possible, and be fearless but also kind, because we have a lot of social issues in our communities, starting from hunger, social or economic inequality, maybe even a climate change. So I think the empathy is the key to unlocking these solutions. And when you stand up for others and you also include them and you act together, you can make our world a better place. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maglić. Our next guest speaker comes from United Kingdom, and her story is as sweet as her business. She is a co-founder of a company called Harry Schocs, dedicated to crafting the most delicious chocolates that create employment for young people with autism. She is a perfect example how to combine two passions for a good cause. In her case, chocolate and improving lives of people with autism. Her story is truly amazing. Please give a warm round of applause for Miss Mona Shach.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here to present this lovely audience in this beautiful city, so thank you for inviting me. Right, so if we... Okay, so the name Harry Schocs, there is no Harry or Specters in the business. It's just something my son came up with, and he's the inspiration for the whole enterprise that we started. His name's Ash, and he's 19 years old, and he has autism. So if I just start off with the story, okay. How do you play the video?
Award-winning premium chocolates, but also to provide employment for young people with autism. The inspiration for Harry Schocs is our son called Ash. He's 18 now and he has autism. When he was younger, we were just worried about what he would do once he left the safe environment of a special needs school where he studies. We moved to England 10 years ago. Before that, we lived in Pakistan. Looking down the line, we just thought there is no future for him in Pakistan simply because of all the discrimination he would face. It was on a family holiday to Scotland in 2011 that I first got the idea of starting a chocolate business. So I love chocolate, always have, but not actually made chocolates or done a proper course. And it was there that I realized it was quite routine, repetitive, structured work. And it just clicked that it would be perfect for people with autism. I set up Harry Schocs in a tiny shed in the garage, so to speak, and the conservatory became our packaging area.
Since joining Harry Schocs, I've learned a lot about making chocolates as well as time management and getting everything done on time and lots of teamwork skills.
I named Harry Schocs. I am proud of the name. I like working with my family so that I can earn some money. My favorite part is trying to help people with back control.
It's sort of brought the family closer together, working on the same thing, especially because it's for autism, something we feel very closely about. We had heard of Unlimited. We approached them to go on the Big Venture Challenge program. We were successful and we got this really great venture manager, and through that we raised investment, which has helped us to move into new premises. As with any business, you do worry about what the next stage will be and how you'll get there, but there's excitement as well, and when you see all these people with autism working there, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yes, that was our story. We founded this company in December 2012 from basically starting with a £4,000 grant from Lloyds Bank. Before that, I used to work for the National Health Service in corporate governance. Very, very boring compared to making chocolate, of course. But it was a mental health trust, and the reason I was working in the mental health trust is because I wanted to help people with mental health issues, simply because I don't know how many people here know what autism is. Yes? Okay, that's encouraging. Yeah, so basically in the UK, there are around 500,000 adults of working age with autism. Of those, only 16% are in any kind of employment, which is very, very low. And over 60% of those who receive benefits, they are able to work, they are willing to work, but nobody gives them a chance. So over there, it's really, really horrifying, and I was afraid, this is what's going to happen to my son once he leaves special needs school. So it was something that I was really passionate about. I love chocolate, so of course combining the two passions really worked well. But so basic, if I go forward, yeah, so we've done that one. So the vision is basically to create hundreds of jobs for these people with autism who can be contributing members of society if they are given a chance. We sell online, and we deal with corporates as well as luxury boutique hotels. So when we were first starting this, I was conscious of the fact that the main thing is that the product should be really, really good. So when I was starting, I just thought, I have to test the product, so it's really important. Like Maya said, basically, when people hear of a social enterprise, they think it's going to be a really low-quality product, and they associate it with a charity. So the first thing I knew was, because chocolate is a very competitive market, and I knew just because it's supporting people with autism, it wasn't going to be enough for me to be able to make it a sustainable business. So the first thing for me was to make sure that the product is very good. In the last 4 years, we have won 22 awards for our chocolate. Thank you. This year alone, we've won 13 awards, 10 from the Academy of Chocolate, and we were one of only 3 companies in the world to have won 10 awards. We work with local special needs schools. We work with mainstream schools as well, because there's always like a special unit there for people with autism. We work with the job centers, and as well as mainstream colleges. So what we do is basically, it's a very simple model. We make delicious chocolates, we sell those chocolates, we get the money, and then we use that money to train people. So people who work with us, they initially come on a work experience placement. During that work experience, we give them the training, and then we assess if they are going to be good enough to be future employees. So we don't have so basically people with autism, they struggle to get a job because of the social communication issue. It's a spectrum, so you have people who are very high functioning, and then you have people who have some sort of learning disability as well. So my son has mild to moderate autism, so there is learning disability included in that. But then we have people who are very, very high functioning, and those people are generally the ones you find in Samsung or in other tech companies, because they're so focused, they don't need to communicate much. So if you just give them a task, they're very good at software testing. So we've got a company called that basically hire people with autism just to do software testing. So we saw that there was this gap where high-functioning people with autism do manage to get jobs, but then those with mild to moderate or with learning disabilities, they struggle. Because the first thing they do when they go for a job interview is they have to give eye contact. They struggle with that. They have to answer questions on the spot. There's not enough time given for them to process the question. They struggle with that. So the initial interview stage, they fail at that stage. So when people come to us, we just say, why don't you come on and we'll just have a chat. So we don't normally advertise a job. We just work with parents and carers and teachers. So they come in, we have a 5-minute chat. I just find out what the interests are. And then what we do is we start them on the work experience based on the sort of things that they said they're interested in. So instead of having a position that needs to be filled, we see what the person can do and make a position for them. So it's the other way around. Thank you. I attended this meeting of CEOs and stuff. One of the leading banks arranged it. So they were all sitting around and trying to figure out how they can basically do what social entrepreneurs do. So this is like a bank. So it's like apples and oranges. So they're sitting there and they're listening to us and we're talking about how we do things and stuff like that. And they're saying, how can we do the same thing? And we said, you can't. Because y'all open a business, right? And then you see, okay, now how can we solve something with this business? As social entrepreneurs, we see a problem. We see a problem, then we start a business built around that problem. So it's totally a different way of doing things. So as social entrepreneurs, what we do is we're always on the lookout. What can be done? What can be changed? What needs improvement? How can we make things better? Which is something a bank would not be able to do. So we say, forget that. Just use the resources you have to help us. Let us do what we're good at. You do what you're good at. So there's no reason for you to try to do what we're doing. It doesn't make sense. So now they're buying our chocolates, which is great. That's what we basically told them to do. So these are just some of the products that we've got. That's my son packaging. He's the one who came up with the name Harry Schocs, and it's just a random name he came up with. So when people, sometimes we get emails saying, "Dear Harry, can we?" And I'm like, there's no, I'm sorry, there is no Harry. And then of course it's a nice opening thing. So they say, okay, so where did this name come from? And then obviously because when I was starting this, people said call it Coco Mona or Mona's chocolates, and I was like, no, it's not about me. So it should be something that somebody with autism came up with. And that's why it's called Harry Schocs. There's just some. So this is Thomas. He's from a special needs, a specific specialist autism school. It's a private school, and so they normally. So what we do when we work with schools is we work around what their program is. So some schools have like a program where they want like a whole year's placement. Others want like 2 weeks blocks, or maybe like a 4-month thing. So whatever the school's schedule or curriculum is, that's the way we actually develop our program. So it's very customized. So it's not like, okay, this is the program and this is what you need to do. So basically whatever they're comfortable with, and then we tell them, okay, if you want to start off with 2 hours, that's fine. If you want to build it up to 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever. So every student basically has a customized work experience program. So Thomas was supposed to come for 1 year. So after the first year, I was like, Thomas, it was lovely having you, and it's been amazing to see how your confidence has grown. When he first came, he wouldn't say anything. He just quietly sit there, and then when he was leaving, he was dancing to Gangnam Style. Yeah. So so that's how confident he became, and I was like, it's been really, really nice, and I wish you the best of luck, da-da-da-da, and he was like, what do you mean? I was like, your placement's finished. He goes, are you firing me? I was like, no, you were supposed to be here for a year. And he was like, no, but you said Harry Schocs is for people with autism, and now you're telling me to go. And I'm looking at his teaching assistant, and she was like, don't look at me. And I'm like, do you want to continue? He was like, yes, I'm going to come here every year, and I'm going to start working here. So 3 years. 3 years he's been doing work experience, and now, once he's left college, so he said, yes, okay. So he's just looking for residential now and stuff like that. So once he's settled in, he's going to start working with us. So that was Thomas. This is Darius. He used to go to the same special needs school that my son went to. So after that, then he went to do a catering course at a regional college. Once he finished that, he was struggling to find a job. He went to Sainsbury's, which is like a big department store or grocery store, and he specifically said, because he's also got dyslexia, and he wanted any questions that they gave him to be written, to print on a green paper so that he can read it, and they gave him questions on a white paper, so he struggled with reading that, and he also said that I can't do the video thing, So they do some sort of questioning based on a video they've shown. And he said, I won't be able to do that. Can you do something different? So it was all basically sorted out beforehand. When he went there, they just gave him a standard interview that they give anybody else, and he failed. So he was really, really upset about that. And then his mom came to me, and I was like, yeah, sure. So he's been with us since it'll be 4 years, 4 years now. So 2013 he joined us, so basically from the start. And as you can see, he's quite healthy. Yes, is the way to put it, to the extent that we were worried because he kept eating and eating and eating. Yeah, and we said, you know, this isn't the way to go. So right now he's this thin because he's gone on this weight loss program. That's them enjoying the chocolates. So we have like a proper framework for measuring social impact. To date, we've helped 270 young adults with autism. Last year, we raised almost £300,000 in investment. Some of that was a grant. The rest, some of it was a loan. And then we also had like chocolate bonds. So people sort of pay like £5,000, invest £5,000, and the interest is a box of chocolates every month. So just some of the things we've done. So I'm just going to wrap up with the whole thing. I mean, this is the entrepreneur's journey. You have an idea, you get excited, and then of course you need to make sure you got the right product. You start it, and then you have to go looking for customers. Very, very difficult part. But if you use your own networks, always use networks, and then find people who know people. And that's what I've done. You've got your growing pains. Obviously, when you scale up, new set of problems. So when you start, there's a different set of problems. When you scale up, different set of problems. And then the main problem is being sustainable and making sure you can expand your business. So, well, that's it from me. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Ms. Shah. The story was truly amazing, inspiring, and sweet. Our last speaker before we take a short break is Ms. Marija Sadovska. She is from Poland, and she is a co-founder of Foundation Barka. When we asked her why did she become an entrepreneur, she said that runs in her family, because they are all involved in social integration of people of excluded groups. Her speech today will be inspiring, with real people and real stories. She will be brutally honest and will tell you that it won't be easy, right? But the trick is not to give up. Please welcome Ms. Marija Sadovska.
Hello. I'd like to thank you for welcoming me here. I'm also here because my mom, Barbara, works in a project fostering social entrepreneurship, an EU-funded project in Macedonia. She's somewhere there, with my father. So yes, it does run into our veins, because as you can see, the whole family is involved in social entrepreneurship. And it actually started like 30 years ago. Because my parents are a little bit crazy, so, and I mean that, it's not a joke. They both are psychologists, and they decided to, when they were working in psychiatric hospitals and prisons and orphanages, they decided that there has to be something after the people leave these institutions, that people often would leave prisons and soon they would end up again in the prison because they didn't have the environment, the support system, the family that would be able to help them reintegrate with the society. So my parents decided to quit their jobs in Poznan, in a big city, and go to a village like at the end of the world and create a community with 20 people who were after psychiatric hospitals, prisons, former prostitutes, people who were addicted to alcohol, drugs, homeless people, to create a family there, so that after they leave all those institutions, they have a place where to turn to. And as a family, we lived there for 10 years, and it was, I think, the most important time for our life, because it shaped us for the future, for what we do now. based on this first community, my parents created, I was a little girl, just a year and a half. There was also my older sister Eva, 5 years. But we were very important in this program, in this process of reintegration of those people, because kids have good influence. So that's why I'm saying we created. We created a system of help for people who come to Barka. First are the communities where you really have a place to stay, family, relationship, duties. You eat together, you work together, you fight, you get married. There were funerals, just regular family life. We have 15 such communities in Poland at the moment. But based on that, we also created educational programs, associations, folk universities, workshops, vocational workshops, where we teach people how to work, where we help people to get the habit of work. And the next step is, of course, the employment. And we mostly do it through social enterprises, social cooperatives. We help people to either create their own companies or to find a work in open market, that the jobs that already exist, but they're not prepared to reach those jobs. So the system helps them to reach the jobs also on the open market. Like the cherry on the top is the program of accessible housing. Because we want to create really a system where people at the end they find a place where they can live with their families and not always stay in the shelters, in homelessness, in communities. So one of our Barka leaders, Zbigniew, just recently moved into his own house, created by his hands in an eco method with clay, straw, and he got married at Barka. He has 2 kids. And he's now also an owner of his own house. So this is an amazing road that he went through. And we also do teach people about this system in Poland mainly. We meet with local authorities, with public institutions, with organizations, to show them the system that we have, the model that we have, and to help them establish tools, mechanisms that they need to integrate people that are left behind and marginalized in their local communities. We also have programs that we do abroad. It's Barka people who once were excluded people with their addictions, homelessness, unemployment, now became leaders of new groups, and they help people in the streets of the Netherlands, Iceland, Ireland, UK to come back to their home countries, maybe to come back to Poland and to use our infrastructure that we have. And one of the examples that I'll be talking today is the Common Table social enterprise. This is an enterprise that was also awarded in Poznań, in Poland, for the innovative aspect, because it is really truly an enterprise that is integrated people from different groups, because we do integrate around that idea. This is a restaurant, so we do integrate around the idea of slow food and social integration, people from business, big companies, people from local authorities, long-term unemployed people, professional kitchen chefs, and also students. So this is a little bit of a history of the place, of the social enterprise called in Polish Wspólny Stół. It's in the city of Poznań, where we employ people after prisons, after homelessness, after long-term unemployment, but also professional kitchen chefs, because we wanted it to be, as my previous colleagues as speakers were saying, high-quality product, so that people will buy it and pay quite some money. It's not very cheap, but it is very good quality. We use organic products from Barka farm. Barka is also running a lot of social enterprises itself, and we have an organic farm of 400 hectares of land with people who are running the farm, who are after prisons, homelessness, after unsuccessful migrations. We do work in the respect of people and nature, and as you know, in all social enterprises, there is no income going into my pocket. Although I did help to create this place, I'm not an owner and I'm not even employed there anymore. I gave it to the next generations to run it, to students of social work, resocialization. And they do it perfectly, I think, with a little bit of help, so everyone can feel part of this cooperative, that they are really integrated, they are asked what they think about the new dishes, the look of the restaurant, and they are often invited to come from the kitchen to talk with the clients, to talk with groups that are visiting Barka and social enterprises and Spulnes too, so they really feel that they are treated with dignity, with respect. And okay, this is how it looks. On the left, you can see the community house that we lived in, and this is the big common table that we had in the community. With, for example, you can see Zbigniew here. He was 22 years in prisons, all in tattoos, so he was, you know, a little bit scary at the beginning. But the table, why is the social cooperative called Common Table? It's because now we also, on the right you can see the restaurant that we run, and this is why the idea is very important that we do integrate around this table different groups of people, even the most marginalized, the most vulnerable people who couldn't find any place for them, but they did find it here. The issue that Common Table is answering is the unemployment, but of course it's very important to understand that unemployment is not only a single problem, especially the long-term unemployment, because most of the people that come to us for help, to Barka and to Common Table, they're people who are addicted to alcohol, who have low skills, who have suffered from homelessness or been to prison, so it's not that easy to find a job, go on the interview, wear a red tie and say, hey, I'm ready for a job. But, we're not looking for you and we don't want to employ you because you look like you've been in a prison for 22 years. So we first have to prepare those people, and this is why we establish social cooperatives like Common Table. Almost? No, maybe here? Oh yeah, I skipped one. The example is for Lucas, who came to us because his mother is drinking alcohol very heavily, and he was a firefighter. He got injured in this, in his duty, and he couldn't find job anywhere. His mother was very aggressive, so he was running away, and in those circumstances he became a homeless person. Or Dorota, who was working her whole life, but suddenly she realized that she has a cancer. And when she, after 2 years, won the fight for her health, she wasn't attractive on the labor market anymore. She was told that she's too old, and she's 54. So she became an independent person on social benefits. Kate, who's a student, she didn't really fit very well. She didn't feel very well in her peers, around her school peers. She had some breakdowns, so she came to Barka. She's the daughter of one of our Barka leaders, who's alcohol addicted person. But when they came to our social cooperative, you can see that they were growing because they started to, Łukasz loves music, so he started to play parties, DJ parties for us. He became a master of burgers, and now he's also doing breakfast for the restaurant. He's now employed and honestly earns